I guess I just got to ask the simple question, like, whose side is Gavin Newsom on? Is he for Americans or is he for illegals? He just asked for a restraining order, which apparently is getting denied, against Trump using the military to restore the order and discipline that he let get out of control. This is getting pretty lit, actually. I'm about to take back some of the critical things I said about Mike Johnson, too.
I'm not going to give you legal analysis on whether Gavin Newsom should be arrested, but he ought to be tarred and feathered, I'll say that.
My man, I will buy the tar. But seriously, what do you people want? Why are you still, after we can see with our own two eyes for the last, I don't know, like 3 days, what is clearly not peaceful protest? You're saying that there's still peaceful protests.
We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. It started peacefully. Then we had federal officers, doing the tear gas.
The reality is we see peaceful protests launching in Los Angeles.
It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
You cannot believe what the president is telling you. You've got to understand that he's a liar, that he cannot be trusted.
This goes back to the last election. Do you think we're stupid? That we're just going to believe the same people that lied to us about basically everything else through COVID, the Hunter Biden laptop, Joe Biden's mental decline? You do realize that one picture, this one picture right here, this was like the meme of the year since 2020. I mean, CNN, a dude standing in front of a burning building with a chyron that says fiery but mostly peaceful. You people are such a joke. You're going to sit there owning a fireworks stand and tell me that somehow democracy is at work here and this should be all tolerated? Here's a guy wearing an ankle monitor. Look at this. He's wearing an ankle monitor, which means that he's been convicted of something at some point recently. He's also wearing an F-Ice t-shirt, which, by the way, no way that was premeditated, right? Because t-shirts, custom t-shirts, they just pop up. They don't get ordered 2 weeks before, right? Oh, by the way, he's next to his side piece holding up like a gang sign. Yeah, you're going to tell me that this is what democracy okie doke. What is equally as stupid is you're going around trying to tell people that this is somehow Trump's fault.
Is basically an arsonist saying, I better call the fire department because they got to come in fast to get the flames out.
Gavin Newsom coming out and saying that Trump is bringing the National Guard to quell the riots related to illegal immigration, and that's bad. But hey, Gavin, diss you, homie, in the summer of 2024, like a year ago, begging for the National Guard and more resources?
It's 390 National Guardsmen and women that have been working, particularly as it relates to fentanyl here in the state of California. Look at the bottom line. At the end of the day, they need more resources. Everybody needs more resources. And the Republican Party has been consistently standing in the way of providing the resources, the support for the men and women working hard, not only here at the border, but out throughout the state of California and this country to address the issues related to the border.
Nah, that couldn't be Gavin Newsom. Probably just someone else that looks like Gavin Newsom. That's the same Gavin Newsom that was begging for the Guard then and now trying to shame Trump for sending the Guard. He's saying, you sent troops here without food, fuel, water, or a place to sleep. Okay, he tweeted out a bunch of pictures. Let me explain to you military life. Anybody who's ever been in the military, in any branch, knows this very well. Sometimes you're told to just hurry up and wait, which is a lot of what the National Guard does right when they get called somewhere. You just wait until you have orders, okay? Gavin Newsom is saying they have nowhere to sleep. All right, let's break this down a little bit. First, you can see in the picture of his full tweet, okay, that it's clearly on the right-hand corner of that screen, it's clearly daylight through an open bay door. It is daytime. It's not nighttime. They're probably just waiting around. They have nothing else to do until they get an order. Any military guy knows that the two things you do in the military when you have time is you change your socks and you take a nap because you don't know when the next chance you're going to get. And in the other picture that he tweeted out where he comes, oh, they have no food and water. There's literally open water bottles and MREs in the background of the picture. Maybe Gavin, instead of condemning everything Trump is doing, if you're really concerned about the troops, he should be finding hotels to put oh, wait, no, he can't do that because he gave all the hotel rooms to a bunch of illegals. Which leads me to the next thing that Democrats are criticizing Trump for. Oh, it's the cost of the National Guard is too significant. Since when are Democrats fiscally conservative about anything?
So the current estimated cost is $134 million, which is largely just TDY costs, travel, housing, food, etc.
I mean, there is no gutter too deep for these Democrats. California officials are now saying, oh, it's $134 million it'll cost to deploy the National Guard. And it's a waste of money. I find this so rich. Coming from the same party. In California, they spent, over the last 8 years, $27 billion with a B dollars of their tax-paying citizens' money on health care for illegals. Some of the very same illegals that are now burning, rioting, and looting the city that Trump is trying to say. I mean, round of applause for the dumbest group of people I have ever encountered in my life. But Pete Hegseth summed it up to our own reporter, Kameni Dukart, when asked about L.A.
What's your assessment of the situation in LA right now? What's your assessment of the situation? Sorry.
We're securing a city that Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass
Can I have you turn toward the camera?
Here's an idea for you libs. First off, you could have just cleaned this up by, I don't know, maybe enforcing the laws that you already have on the books, but you didn't do that. But you know what would be a better use of your time? Stop the funding, the black market funding of this that's destroying your city. We know for a fact that Craigslist ads that were taken down, by the way, the internet is forever. One says, looking for anybody but a Marine, basically. It says, like, we have had problems with Marines in the past. This has since been removed. But you can get it on the Wayback Machine. There's a whole bunch of these. We also know that one of the organizations funding these things is one of the heirs to the Walmart empire, funding these upcoming protests this weekend. We also know that CHIRLA, the Coalition for Human Immigration Rights, is also funding these riots, which, by the way, they got $700,000 under the Biden administration in grants. This has obviously been zeroed out under Trump, but they also got almost $34 million from the government of California, the state government. You can find all this right there on their grants portal page. I'm just bringing the receipts, guys. But no. They would rather have their city's icons like former Univision anchor telling people this.
I'm from LA. I was born in LA. That's where my roots are. That's where I started my career. It is almost 50% Hispanic. Remember that California was part of Mexico. All of the Southwest is Mexico. So the roots are really deep in that region.
Oh, California was part of Mexico. All of Southwest is Mexico? Well, I mean, it was. But we were better at war than you. And I know history is hard for these libs, but if they opened a book, you would know that in 1848, during the Treaty of the Guadalupe Hidalgo, Mexico ceded California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and a few corners of other states in the area to America in exchange for us not invading the rest of their country. And we gave them $15 million, that $15 million in 1848. So, no, lady, the Southwest is definitively America, and Mexico better back off supporting these protests like their president currently is, or we might take another 55% of their territory. Capiche? Look, I'm here for this. I don't care if we have to drive M1 Abrams down the street over flaming cars to stop these riots. You have my full support to fly Apaches over Sunset Boulevard, blurring Fortunate Son like out of the movie Apocalypse Now. I don't care. Heck, I think they should make a military recruiting ad with just a mashup of Marines straight bodying protesters on the street, because these people have been playing this stupid PR game forever. Now it's our turn as law-abiding taxpayers. Forget political parties here. People who live within the laws. It's our turn to take our country back from these hooligans in anklets wearing lewd T-shirts and wearing pre-printed liberal activist group slogans on them. The left wanted to make an example out of everybody who was at January 6th, whether they went inside the Capitol or not. Well, tide's turned, pal. Pam Bondi. They built this bridge. We're just going to walk over it now.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.